Hey, welcome back. So today we're going to be going over just a quick explanation of how Roman concrete was made. Very similar to how a lot of concretes are made, but just want to give you sort of the basics of it. So we will jump into that right now. All right. So first thing is just sort of the basic ingredients of it. Now, what the key thing to get to before we can get to concrete is actually mortar, because concrete is a variation on mortar. And what you need to start with is limestone. Now, limestone is pretty widely available. Was fairly easily found. It's similar to chalk. It's very sort of gritty. One of the ways you can tell that something's limestone is if you put an acid on it, it will hiss and bubble. So you may have done this before with chalk, but you put like lemon juice on it, it'll bubble. Things like that. Now, turns out has some rather interesting properties once you bake it. Now, it's not just a matter of simple baking in a simple cooking oven. You need to get it, I think, to around 1300 degrees Fahrenheit for it to turn into quicklime. Now, quicklime is sort of an activate. It's been changed in a certain way such that when you combine the quicklime with water, what you get is this sort of sludgy mixture that you don't get if you just were to mix a ground up limestone with water. Now, when you do this with the limestone, you kind of need to get it into cubes, and then you grind. Once you cook it, you bake it, you grind it up into quicklime, and then when you mix it with water, it becomes mortar, and it will harden back into something pretty similar to limestone. Still fairly easy to scrape it and for it to start crumbling. So it doesn't make great stone in and of itself, but it's good at holding materials, sort of sealing them off together. Now that is basically where mortar comes from. To get to concrete, you need to add something to the mortar. So now what the Romans would add is you do want like a strengthener like sand or gravel, sometimes even small rocks. But one of the main things that the Romans added was a specialized volcanic ash. And it turns out that for whatever reason, this made their concrete particularly strong. So there was probably quite a lot of experimentation going on and adding different things to mortar to see what made it stronger. And it turns out this volcanic ash it makes it into very strong concrete, which again can then be used to make something like, this isn't the interior of the Pantheon, but it could be used to make something like the interior of the Pantheon. Now, when you get mix this mortar, it turns out you don't really want it. It's somewhat caustic. So you basically don't want it to dry on your skin. It will start to give you a chemical burn. So you need to be really careful. It's typically best to work with gloves when you're working with gloves. But basically this quicklime is pretty similar to the and mortar is pretty similar to what you get if you went and bought like Portland cement from a hardware store. So this is something that with a parent you could probably spend some time with and maybe play around with it a little bit to see what it's like after it dries and such. Okay, so that is the basic process for making concrete. Hope that was informative. Thank you for tuning in. I'll see you next time.